What you doin's? You like your bougie faux sheepskin carpet? Are you really gonna lay right there? Alright, well, if anybody watching this video makes it to the very end, this is where we ended up. Hey guys, it's Jasmine, and that was Puppy, and this week we are continuing last week's discussion, and I'm going to give you some helpful tips to make sure that you're buying the freshest meat possible, and to also avoid cross-contamination when making raw cat food. Before we get started, if you are new to this channel, and if you're into cat stuff, especially things having to do with cat nutrition and raw cat food, or if you are into fitness and nutrition and things for humans, then make sure to click that subscribe button below, as well as the little bell icon that's right next to it, because we do put out a new video every Catterday. Plus, this month I decided to do something fun and a little different and share the daily sunrise with you guys every morning for 30 days, so if you want to see that and have 3 minutes or so of peaceful, calming beach sounds every morning, then yeah, make sure to join us. Now, like I mentioned in last week's video, which was about how you should avoid using the pre-ground store-bought meat when making raw cat food, the risk for bacterial contamination is basically always there when you are dealing with fresh foods, and that not only includes meat and poultry, but also things like vegetables, and especially leafy greens and eggs, just to name a few things. But food poisoning from poultry in particular is the most fatal. And correlations aside, for example, if someone is very elderly or has a weakened immune system in general, the inability to treat these infections in otherwise healthy people is due to the antibiotic resistance in the human treatment, and that is due to the overt antibiotic usage in animal production. So again, and this is kind of like a review of last week too, but the stronger antibiotics that are used in chickens and turkeys in their lifetime to keep them free from illness and infection, the stronger or more resistant that bacteria becomes, even creating newer, stronger strains of itself, which in turn causes even stronger antibiotics to be used in animal production. And as you can see, it is basically an ongoing vicious cycle. So the question becomes, what can you do, or we do as consumers, to do the best you can to get the freshest meat possible and also to avoid cross-contamination when you are preparing raw cat food? Here are a few of my tips to do that so that you can keep your cat healthy and yourself and everyone else in your household. The first tip, unsurprisingly, is to never ever buy pre-ground poultry. Always make sure to get the full chicken thighs if you're following the recipe from catladyfitness.com, or the full piece of whatever meat you're using. And you don't need a grinder. You can chop or cut up the meat yourself, or in a recent video I told you how the people at your meat counter will actually most likely be able to cut up your meat for you. My second tip is to always buy the meat and organs last when you go to the grocery store, and to always make sure to put it in one of those little plastic bags that are usually hanging around the meat department, just to avoid any juices leaking out or cross-contamination going anywhere. Because I know in my case especially, the livers I usually buy are always leaking, even sitting there in the case. So always grab your meat and organs on the way to the register to check out, and make sure you put them in those plastic bags. My next tip is to always check the expiration date or best buy date of the meat or organs that you are buying, or sometimes they have the production date instead. So if it's a production date, you want to get the most recent date, and if you're looking at the best buy or expiration date, you want to get the one farthest away from the current day. And a little tip that I also share in my book, The Grocery Store Tour Guide, which is mostly for humans but applies to really anything you're buying food for, is that grocers typically bring the old product to the front front of the shelf and stock the new product to the back. So if you reach to the back, you're more likely to get the fresher product or food or whatever it is. And this doesn't just apply to meats, but basically anything they have in stock, especially things like produce and baked goods too. My next tip is to bring a cooler or an insulated bag of some sort to the store with you. And that's even if you're buying the meat last and you have a super short drive home. This ensures that it's going to stay cold, which ideally you want the meat to stay at around 40 degrees. Now, if you do literally live 5 minutes or less from the store, then you should be fine. But it doesn't hurt to just grab a little cooler or lunchbox or insulated bag and throw a couple of ice packs in it and bring it with you. My next tip in order to get the freshest meat and also avoid cross-contamination is to make your cat's raw food as soon as you get home from the store, or in the very least the same day that you purchase all of the fresh ingredients. I've mentioned it a few times before that I have made the mistake of purchasing all of the meat and the organs and bringing them home and then just getting so caught up in work or just busy that I waited till the next day or sometimes even the day after that to make the food. And I would say 3 out of 5 of those times I ended up having to throw it all away because the food simply went bad. Now, this is especially the case if you are able to get the store to grind up all of the meat and organs for you, like I show in my original way back how to make raw cat food video in the very first one. If you are to do that and find a store that will actually grind everything up for you, which is nearly impossible with poultry, then that ground up mixture is sure to start smelling like it's going a little bit bad the very next day. That said, if you buy everything fresh and whole, like the chicken thighs and the hearts and the livers, in that case, depending on the freshness of all of those ingredients when you bought them, you'll probably be okay making the raw food batch the next day. I have, and it's turned out fine. But all of that said, your safest bet is to make sure to schedule out and plan to make your cat's raw food as soon as you get home from the store when you buy all of the ingredients. My next tip is to designate supplies just for making raw cat food. For example, as you have seen in my many how to make raw cat food videos at this point, Puppy has his own designated giant bin and cutting board and Tupperwares and spatula that I use solely for making his food. Obviously, my Vitamix was not purchased solely for Puppy, bless his bougie heart. But in addition to this, of course, you want to make sure that you thoroughly clean and wipe down everything you use and all the surfaces once you're finished. My next tip is it's probably a good idea to take your cat or cats and put them away in a separate room that you can close off. This avoids them in all of their excitement for this fresh food they're smelling to jump up on the counter and knock anything over or drag pieces of meat to the ground. Yes, I'm telling you this from personal experience. It'll just avoid any potential extra cleanup or bacteria getting spread different places of your kitchen. Next tip is to feed your cat on a designated plate, which most people do already, but to also put an easily cleanable placemat underneath the feeding area. Something that is surface sticking and made of silicone or some kind of antibacterial material would be ideal. Now, if your cat is like Puppy, he actually will sometimes, every meal at some point, take a piece of meat and drag it off of his plate, which is why the placemat makes a great little addition of safety so that you don't have to potentially get chicken blood meat juice into your tile grout. Again, speaking from personal experience. So yes, having a placemat and a plate, not a bowl, like I've spoken about in other videos, is a great thing to do. Now, you guys have seen how I prepare his food from my how to warm up raw cat food video a while back, but I also kind of have a routine in how I clean up his plate and everything once he's finished. So again, if you want a video of that or if you want me to film it, just let me know in the comments. Also, for you guys, because there's a lot of you who have been asking and wondering about the risks for your cat's health when it comes to potential bacteria or parasites, or how being exposed would affect your cat specifically, I will have a video coming up about that in the near future. Alright guys, I hope that you found these tips helpful or interesting. If you have anything else that you would like to add that you think could help everybody out, then just make sure to put it in the comments below, because I'd love to keep the discussion going. And if you are new here and want to learn more about cat nutrition or raw cat food stuff, then make sure that you check out my cat stuff playlist, which you can go directly to catladyfitness.com and click on the videos tab and the whole playlist will come up for you. Or if you're here on YouTube already, you could just click over to my playlists and you will see the cat stuff playlist there. Please make sure to click that thumbs up below if you liked this video, and also to share it with anybody else who you think that it may benefit. Oh, and if you have been missing them, I have been posting daily pictures of Puppy being super adorable, of course, and those are on the community tab of this channel. Or if you have already subscribed and have clicked the little bell icon, then you should be seeing his face every day come up in your newsfeed. Puppy has been napping behind me this entire time, so you want to say hi? Hi! Oh, did I wake you? So, of course, my camera ran out of memory as soon as I picked him up. Oh my goodness, I have to save my equipment now because he's about to knock it over. But thank you guys so much for watching, as always, and we will see you next week. Bye!